All right, good morning. My name is Kevin Dean. I'm the owner of Yakima Branding and WSI Net Advantage. We're a digital marketing agency. And this morning, I'd like to introduce Coach Katey, Katey DeLasto, one of my good friends and networking partners in Vistage. We've asked Katey to come and visit us today and talk to us about how to make the phone ring, how to improve leads. And because we deal with so many clients who are always looking for new leads over the web, we thought that this would be a good session for Katey to enlighten us. Katey comes with a lot of great credentials. She's certified with Success Coaching, which is part of the nationally known Success Magazine brand. She's a national trainer, business coach, and sales consultant with over 25 years of business sales and leadership experience. Her area of expertise includes everything we're looking for, which is lead gen, relationship building, productivity, recruiting, sales training, all those types of things that make a business run. And she's been responsible for developing profitable relationships by empowering her partners through growth and understanding. And she uses a fun and engaging style of training. I always love chatting with Katey. She's played key roles in the growth of companies and organizations such as ADP, Abbott Labs, Servco, and Santa Clara University, where she's chapter president for the university in the state of Hawaii. So congratulations on that. She's got a degree in marketing from Santa Clara University, go Broncos, and she serves on the alumni board. So Katey, without further ado, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for Yakima Branding for inviting me today. I know some people will be watching this on recording, so you can either speed up my voice or slow it down, though you're likely to slow it down versus speeding up. This is something that I have found with entrepreneurs. It is really a challenging thing. And as the economy is shifting, and obviously there's been all sorts of exciting news this week in the economy, and so there's becomes a little bit of confusion. Just want to let everybody know when we had a little pre-call set up, and Kevin and I agreed that Kevin would interrupt me. I like to be interrupted because I want this to be a conversation more than just me talking to a screen. I said I'm a salesperson, so I do like the sound of my own voice, and it's important that we make sure that your time together is valuable. So I want Kevin to interrupt me and make sure that I am hitting some of those points that are of value to you today. So Kevin, thank you for interrupting.
Yep, and we'll take questions over chat. So if someone has anything that they'd like to add to, just drop it into chat and we'll pass it along.
Yes, and Kevin, can you monitor the chat, please? That would be awesome.
I have it up and active.
Yes, all right, perfect. Okay, so how to make the phone ring is often the thing I hear the most. And when I am coaching entrepreneurs and business owners, most people I know that are passionate about their business love what they do. They love being a pizzeria owner. They like being a dentist. They like being an attorney. And they like that job that they do. They don't necessarily love, or sometimes very few people have had training on how to attract new customers. How do I make the phone ring? And so I use this analogy a lot. If you make the greatest pizza in the world at your pizzeria, and you are just the best pizza maker, and nobody ever comes and buys your pizza, what happens to your business? Kevin, what happens to your business?
Nothing good happens, that's for sure.
Nothing good happens.
I have to eat a lot of pizza.
Right. To eat a lot of pizza. And sometimes your business will close if we don't have new customers. So sometimes I want people to change their mindset a little bit around sales. And for some reason, there's a little bit of I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to bother people. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. The other piece of it is that you have a business. You own a business. Your business is a pizzeria. Your job is sales. Your job is to drive new clients to your organization, to your business on a regular basis. And it is the fuel that feeds your business. And how you take care of your customers once they walk in the door will get them to come back and get them to tell other people about it. And it is this initial how to make the phone ring. is sort of the concept that I want to go over with you guys today. Fair enough. Kevin, anything else? Does that sound okay?
No, it sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Okay. So you guys are going to hate me. Do you know how you make the phone ring, Kevin?
Why don't you tell me, Katey?
You have to dial it out first. I
Ah,
know it's really strange that these contraptions, this gentleman is holding in his hand is they actually dial out. Is a way for to dial out your phone. Some of the things I get, particularly with newer entrepreneurs, is well, I don't really have a database. You do. You carry it around with you all the time. It's your phone. The names in your phone are people that are usually a good chunk of those people are people that like you and want you to be successful. And so they are cheering you along from the sidelines. And so the way to make the phone ring is by dialing it out first, calling people, following up with people, even just people in your database, people in your phone that are your friends and family members. Call them, let them know what you do. And so we're going to talk about who to call, when to call, all these kinds of things. But the fastest way to make the phone ring is by dialing it out first.
now, what do you think, Katey? Katey, what about people who don't like to dial? How do we get them to dial?
Well, I know. So Kevin, with Yakima branding, so you know, part of what your service is providing some online leads, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're a digital marketing agency, so a lot of our clients find us online.
Okay. And so so you provide digital marketing service for an org. So let's just say I'm going to use an example of let's just keep going with the pizzeria, right?
Pizza's good.
And so somebody, you know, you provide marketing leads for the pizzeria, correct? If a pizzeria is your client, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you own the pizzeria or if I own the pizzeria and I'm getting leads online, it's great to pick up the phone and let them, hey, thank you so much for your interest, right? People do business with people they like and trust, right? I have access to multiple Italian restaurants here in Honolulu. I go to one because I got to know the owner the first time I walked in the door. He came up to me and started a conversation. We got to know each other. It's because he walked in the door. If somebody's an online lead, I always, and he does this, picks up the phone. Hey, thank you so much for your order. We're so excited when they come in to pick it up, having a conversation. So it's just a way to get into relationship. People do business with people they like and trust. And if somebody is reaching out to you online, you can obviously have that first response online, and then at some point schedule a time to talk to them, right? So much of communication is tonality and your energy, and and your pace of your speech. So it's really important to pick up the phone and let people know that you're excited that they have interest in your company. Even if they turn out not to actually do business with you, the fact that you picked up the phone and said, thank you. I mean, we were all, I think most of us, maybe not everybody, but most of us were raised with please and thank you, right? Thank you for your interest. It's such a valuable phone call. Hey, I've had people comment on one of the things I say is, hey, thank you so much for taking my call. Because a lot of times there are a lot of people that won't pick up the phone if they don't recognize the phone number, which if you're running a business, you better answer every call. Like every number that's calling you may be a number you don't recognize because they're new business. So pick up the phone and then they'll be like, wow, you answer your phone. Yeah. Do you know how often I hear that? Well, I did business with this person because they answered the phone. When the phone rings, somebody actually answers it. So the way to make the phone ring is dialing it out first, and then they call you back. And so this is kind of, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I said, excellent. So talk to us about who are these hot leads and warm leads?
Okay, so hot leads are these leads that are coming in. So if you've got some leads that are coming in from the internet or social media, and these leads are coming in, pick up the phone. They've already raised their hand and says, hey, I'm interested. These are also people that you're meeting at these networking events. If you are, part of a Vistage group like Kevin and I are, if you are part of a BNI group, if you are part of the chamber and you go to events. Look, I'm active with Santa Clara University. And when I go to some of these events, I will listen to business owners talk about some of their challenges. And sometimes it's appropriate to have a conversation then. And sometimes it's more appropriate for me to call them the next day and say, hey, I heard you mention something about needing some sales training for your team. I offer that service. Let's talk and see if we're a match. And so it's just somebody who has either directly said, whether it's from an internet lead or somebody indirectly has said that they need your services or your business, call them and dedicate that time every day. Now, this is one thing that I know I'm gonna get pushback. My background is in corporate sales. I was in corporate sales for many, many years before I started training some of this, is spend an hour a day, 45 minutes of active lead generation, 15 minutes of follow-up, 45 minutes of picking up the phone and calling people. And you start with your hot leads. And maybe you only have 2, fine. Call those 2 hot leads, whether they're internet leads, networking leads, anybody who has raised their hand and said they have a need that they want filled, that could be filled by your company within the next 30 days. Those are hot leads. Warm leads are usually about 90 days. So these are people that said, well, you know, I might need to have a party at your pizzeria in 6 months for an event that I'm doing with my kids' school. Okay, that's a warm lead. Hey, why don't we go ahead and talk about what does it look like? Let's block off some of that time on the calendar. Hey, you can always change your mind, but have the conversation. Why don't you come in and tell me how you want the space set up, and start these conversations. Somebody who have a warm lead is somebody who has shown some interest, and now you just got to continue the conversation. Maybe the timing is a little bit out, but it's still worth the conversation of maybe setting up a preliminary call, an introduction, whatever your first step is in your sales process. Even if they're not ready to make a decision for 6 months, still starting that process and keeping those warm leads going. The only difference between a warm lead and a hot lead is time. That's it. So if you're staying top of mind during that time, then you are going to be the person that they are going to think of when they're ready to go. And you're probably going to have a note in your calendar to remind yourself to call them when they're in that 30-day window. And 30-day window for your business is going to be very specific to how your process is for your company. Your current partners, these are people that are already doing business with you and want you to be successful. So whether these are people that are referral partners for you, people that they make money when you make money, they're kind of influencers with your business, give them a call, check in. What do you need? How can I help you? Thank you so much for your referrals in the past. These are people that have actively been supporting your business and you want to call them. And then the last people is call your sphere of influence. The number of times I've had business owners tell me how frustrated they are that they had a friend or a family member that didn't use their service. They were like, oh, I can't believe they went to a different pizzeria. They didn't call me. Well, did you remind them how important it is that you have their business? Did you remind them that, hey, I want to make sure you're taken care of? It is our job to remind them of what we do. It is not their job to remember. Everybody is caught up in their own busy lives. So calling your sphere of influence, and those are the names in your phone. These are your friends, these are your family, these are business associates. Just wanted to remind you what my company does. And if you or somebody you know might need our business or service, I'd really appreciate your referral. This is the bedrock of small business, is making sure that you are connecting not only to people that are strangers to you, that are internet leads or somebody you meet casually. The bedrock is the people that already know you, like you, and want you to be successful. I buy cars from a friend of mine whose families own car dealerships in the Bay Area for 70 years. So I do these things with relationships, and I'm not the only one. All of us want to know that they can have somebody to call if they need advice, they need support, they need a certain product, they need a certain service. And building those connections and relationships starts with people that already know you and like you and want you to be successful. So your sphere of influence, if you just did those, you could probably get 7 or 8 calls done in 45 minutes. And then taking that last 15 minutes and going ahead and putting some things into your notes. I'm gonna check this one slide. Okay, sorry, just these are some of the things that your current partners names in your phone. I just realized I didn't change this. How's the market can actually apply to any kind of your market. what is happening in your business? How's, we're hearing about real estate market, mortgages, the financial market with the stocks have going a little bit crazy in the last few days. There's all sorts of things happening in your market. How's business, right? So what to say is, look, St. Patrick's Day is Friday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Just called to say happy St. Patrick's Day. Are you doing anything fun? Is there a parade near you? What green are you going to be wearing? Everybody gets to be Irish on Friday. That's awesome. So you can say happy fill in the blank. What's happening? Hey, if you, let's say we'll go back to the pizzeria now analogy, right? Hey, this is what's happening right now with restaurant owners, right? Where, there was, what is happening with pricing? What's happening with hiring? What's happening with turnover? All these kinds of things are valuable to have a conversation. Hey, right now I'm looking for some really good people to be delivery guys or gals for my pizzeria. Do you know anybody? This is an area of need that I need support. Hey, are you doing any parties or any events, this year? What's happening in the next year where my company can help support you? And then sometimes it's the apology. I call it the apology script. Pretty simple. It's, hey, you know what? I realize I haven't called you to talk to you about how I can support you, or maybe somebody with my product or service. I'm going to do a better job of reaching out. I'm going to give you a call about 3 or 4 times a year just to check in and see if there's anybody that I can support, or somebody that maybe I could do some business with them. However you want to phrase it.
It's a great reminder.
The apology script is like, that's the worst. When you look at your phone and you're like, I haven't talked to this person in 5 years. Oh my goodness. Right. And it's like, all right, just own it. Hey, you know what? I have not done a great job. I need to apologize. I'm going to recommit. You're going to hear from me about one supporter. Is it okay if I add you to my email list for, we do special programs, like we have this crazy sales trainer come and talk. We do, we have special coupons for our pizzeria. Was it okay if you be on our list? I just want to make sure to send you that information, right? People get caught up a lot in what to say. Don't overthink this. Just say hello. We're making friends. If you're calling hot leads, somebody who's raised their hand and said they want to talk to you, hi, I'm just calling to introduce myself. Thank you for your interest. We got your information. I want to ask you a few more questions. And most people, if they're filling out a form for an internet lead, they love it when the phone call comes in because they're like, whoa, nobody ever calls. Be the exception. Pick up the phone, because sometimes people get busy and get caught up in email. I'm probably 4 or 5 days behind on my email right now. If anybody who emailed me made a follow-up call, I'm much more likely to get back. Oh, thanks for the reminder, right? Sometimes we just get busy with life. And so the reminder is still really important. When is the question I get a lot. When do you call? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. So people get, this is one thing, what time of day is the best? It's the time of day that's the best to make your calls is the time of day you do it. Some people say, hey, I hate making these calls. It's uncomfortable. Okay, good. Then eat the frog. Do it first. Mark Twain, if the worst thing you do is you eat the frog, do it first thing in the morning. Just get it over with, right? Dedicate an hour. It's like, I'm going to call early because that way I'll just get everybody's voicemail. Fine. The action of doing it is like shaking a tree in an orchard. Something's going to fall off. You shake the tree in an orchard every single day. Eventually the fruit will start coming off the trees because of the vibrations in the earth. The same thing happens when you pick up the phone for 45 minutes to an hour for an hour a day. Shake the money tree, see what falls off. So that's how long is 45 minutes to an hour? And set some goals. Have some fun with it, right? It's a little playful, right? I mean, bring out your inner 8-year-old. All right, I'm going to make 10 dials and I'm going to get 2 new referrals. That's going to be my goal. And when I do that, I'm going to take myself out to get a Starbucks, or I'm going to sit and watch a sitcom for 20 minutes. Whatever it is you're going to do, I'm going to go for a really nice walk. I hit that goal today. I'm going to book a tea time, right, at my favorite place to play golf, to look forward to that, to do that. Set some goals with yourself. or find an accountability partner, find somebody else that is making calls every day too. And you have a little competition. Who's going to get the most referrals by the end of the week? And how are we doing with that? And just have some fun. Sometimes being an entrepreneur can be a lonely business. And so it's valuable to have business partners that can do some of these things with us and make it fun, have a little competition, and just have a good time with supporting some of the mundane. Some of the mundane is making calls for 45 minutes to an hour every day. And it is absolutely the coal that will drive your engine. And you've got to keep feeding that fire every single day to get momentum. Otherwise, we have the highs and the lows. All right. The how, create a space. So what I do is I put my phone on do not disturb so that nobody can call me, because I'm only making outbound calls. I'm not taking any inbound calls. So do not disturb means that anybody that calls me is going to go strictly to voicemail, right? I said, make it a game with yourself or somebody else, but pick a spot where you're not going to have distractions. As you can see, I'm outside. I do this on purpose because if I'm inside, I'm gonna be like, oh, you know what? Let me just do a quick load of laundry. You know what? The counters need to be wiped down. Maybe I should sweep. And it gets more comfortable for me inside my condo. When I'm outside, I have a distractions that I have a nice view, but it doesn't distract me from doing the work that I need to get done. And so make sure that you create a space where you can be focused on feeding your business. Take a deep breath. Oxygen to your brain is really important. And visualize, it's going to be awesome. And tell yourself how awesome you are. I'll tell you a little trick. When I was selling for ADP, I was calling people to talk to them about payroll services. Everybody was super excited to get my call, almost as excited as when I sold copiers. The excitement factor is high, payroll and copiers. And so I used to call my mom and say, okay, I need you to tell me how awesome I am. And sometimes there's the stance, right? The Wonder Woman stance, the Superman stance, standing a certain way, standing with your feet shoulder width apart, and you get your, let me make the angle a little better, right? Okay, we have and it's, yes, I'm a superhero. Taking that deep breath in a superhero stance, it actually sends endorphins to your brain. It builds confidence. You get oxygen to your brain, and go get it and have some fun. Have some fun with it. Your company has value to the customers that you serve. Wouldn't it be a shame if people didn't know the value that you can bring? So that's all you're doing is calling people, and the hot leads are already people that have raised their hand. You're calling people to remind them what you do and how well you do it. You are excited about what you do, and you know the impact you have on people's businesses and their lives. So be a superhero, because you're likely to be a superhero for somebody today when you pick up the phone. And this is something that I find that's really valuable is it is your job to remind them. It is not their job to remember. This is most of our brains, 2,800 Post-it notes, right? So we know that life happens and it's busy. And if somebody sent you an internet lead, somebody maybe called you once and you've called them back a couple of times and they haven't returned your call. One of my favorite lines I use in email follow-up after I've left a couple of voicemails is, I know there's a fine line between persistence and pest. Have I crossed it?
An excellent question. That's always on your mind.
Right. So ask. I mean, raise your hand if you're a mind reader.
Don't see any hands.
I don't see any hands. And so, okay. So this is where I like will constantly be telling people, like, you don't know if you're a pest. You might, every time I've ever sent that email, like I'm feeling like I'm crossing that line between persistence and pest, I get the response of like, no, Katey, thank you so much for your follow-up. We're still interested. Crazy stuff happens, right? Even something like, hey, my kid's been sick for 3 days. I've gotten like 7 hours of sleep in 3 days. And I just, don't have the brain power. I'm going to call you next week. Hey, cool. Like, hey, take care of your kid. Hope everybody stays well, right? And sending good thoughts, that sort of thing. So it's like, oh my gosh, we just had our biggest client just brought us a new order. I am so behind on email. Thank you for your follow-up. I mean, And it's not asking for them to have to explain why they haven't responded. It's just more of getting permission to continue to follow up and to say, hey, did I cross that line? I've been in the real estate industry for over 20 or almost 20 years. And it's the one thing I hear from realtors a lot. Well, I called them and left a message and they didn't call me back. So that means they're not interested. No, that means that they're interested. They just haven't taken the next step and maybe they need some help. So that's what the same thing with your business. Maybe they just need help making that decision. They just need a little bit more information. They raised their hand and said they're interested. Now it's you're converting them into, okay, thank you for your interest. What's going on? Tell me your situation. What are your challenges? And your job is to provide solutions to their challenges. Essentially, our job when you're an entrepreneur or in sales, our job is to make friends and then to help our friends make good decisions. That's it. We build a little bit of a trusting relationship, ask some questions about what's working or not working, and then say, oh, okay, this is an area of your business that's not working. Hey, our company is able to support you with this challenge. With the pizzeria analogy, oh, hey, thanks for your interest in hosting your softball team's end of the season pizza party. Awesome. How many people? What kind of, anybody have any food restrictions? What is really important to you to have a private space or more open? Having a conversation. What's your budget? All of these kinds of things. They can say, okay, now I understand what your challenges are, what your needs are. This is our solution to help you with why we think our pizzeria is the best spot for you to have your softball end of season pizza party. Okay. We overcomplicate this so much. Please stop. Right. This is a contact sport. So think about kickball on the playground. You're going out and you're talking to people about kickball. Do you want to play kickball? I don't really know the rules of kickball. Oh, okay. Let's sit down and let's talk about how to play kickball and what the rules are and how you win. Cool. Hey, do you want to play kickball? Yeah, that sounds perfect. Awesome. Now we're playing kickball and you have a new client. How's that analogy, Kevin?
That's a good analogy. I remember back to the kickball days.
Right. Most of us do. And there's some people like, oh, kickball wasn't my game. I was more of a hopscotch kid. Cool. Same analogy if applies.
Pick
right?
your game. Yep.
Pick your game and then go find people that want to play that game with you. And some people just need a little bit more information. The timing has changed. I mean, that's another question I do a lot. Like, hey, has your timing changed? And once you said you were looking for, in my case, when it's sales training, you were looking to do a sales training event in April. Has that changed? And usually it's like, yes, actually, we decided to push out our sales training until June. Okay, cool. Did you want to put something together now as either a contract or an outline of what you want to do? Or do you want me to circle back with you in May? Right. And so starting those conversations of what's going to work for you and your business. Did you push it out to June because everything's going crazy and work right now and you don't have any brain space to even think about your sales training? Okay, well then I can wait till May, or you know what, why don't I put together an outline because you're crazy busy of what, based on our conversation, might be a value for you, and you can let me know if I'm on target or way off base. So provide solution to a challenge of like, hey, I'm going to take one of those little Post-it notes that we see on this wall, I'm going to take it off. I'll take care of it for you. How valuable is that, right? It's like somebody coming over and cleaning your kitchen without being asked. Really? Going to clean my kitchen? I don't have to pay you. You're just going to do it? Yeah, happy to do it. Right. And that's part of making friends and helping our friends make a decision. Right. So you're in following up and making those calls and making your 8 to 10 dials every day. Some of that is going to be follow up. Well, you left a message for them on Monday. All right. Today's Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. 2 days. I haven't heard back from them and they didn't reply to my email. Do another call. Hey, you had said you want to have a conversation, just touching base. I'm just thinking I got a text this morning from somebody that's like, thank you for your follow-up. Can we talk on Thursday? Yes. Right. And then we book the appointment. So these are the kinds of things that is our job to remind them. Our job to remind them. If you have technology tools, leverage them. Leverage technology to get face-to-face or voice-to-voice in this particular example. So technology is not something to use in a sales role to hide behind. Technology should leverage your time so that there's some things that are automated, and it's also leveraging your time. So if you are keeping track of people that you're calling, you have it in a place that's easy to access. So leveraging technology to get face-to-face, leverage social media to make the phone calls. If you do a post about your business and people like or respond, call them. Those can be on your call list. Hey, oh my, thank you so much for responding. I don't really understand how all the algorithms work with Facebook. I just know that when people make comments on my posts, it provides value. On LinkedIn, hey, thank you so much. Curious why you're about your comment, and tell me a little bit more. Get into conversation with people. So use some of the technology tools to provide opportunities to make the phone ring and to keep track of what you're looking to do. What a lot of people think is that they're going to use technology to get into relationship, to get new business. And that is definitely a starter. It is not the finisher. We want to make sure that you're engaging in conversation, voice to voice or face to face, and leveraging technology to get there. Kevin, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that we overthink technology as well. I think we sometimes replace technology with the personal. We should replace technology with personal, but in the ideas of using a CRM and the ideas of leveraging text, phone, one of my early questions to you had to do with texting versus phone, because I don't like picking up. And text is kind of personal, but it's not a conversation. And the phone breaks that down. You can start with a text that can lead to the phone. You can start with the phone that leads to a text. But to rely on text solely, I don't believe is a good solution. And there's probably others just like that. Technology can take over.
Right. Well, and there's when lead generation has active and passive. So if you did the lead generation umbrella, there's two sides to it. There's active lead generation and passive. So passive lead generation is one-way communication. That's email, that's social media posts, that's advertising, one-way communication. You're sending a message out. Active lead generation is voice-to-voice, face-to-face. So even a text is sending it out. Now you can be in a text conversation. But remember, communication, only 7% of communication is words. I mean, I won't ask anybody personal questions, but has anybody ever gotten like a response to a text that you thought was funny and they got a response back of like, whoa, where'd that come from? And somebody's offended or hurt feelings. And it's like, wait, because there was not any tonality, right? And you didn't know, like, you could text something, somebody's funny, but if somebody's in a bad mood or they had something, I had a rough day at work and you're sending them something you think it's funny. If you had picked up the phone and said, hey, how's it going? Like, oh, I've had a rough day. You wouldn't have made that joke because you're like, oh, you had a rough day. All right, never mind, right? So texting can be good. I get very nervous about too much deep in text conversation when a phone call is the appropriate thing to go. I like text more for confirming things, or not too much detail, or particularly not too much emotion. That it's more about just conveying simple things, right? Like, hey, I'm on my way, right? That's a very good one. Or like, hey, I'm running a few minutes late, or confirming the restaurant where we're meeting for lunch today. Some of those kinds of things. And I'm not saying I don't text personally with some of those things as well. I'm just saying professionally, it's better to be on the phone.
I think you build stronger relationships with voice too. Yeah,
because you can hear the tone, right? It's a huge difference, and that's why Zoom is better, and then even face to face is the best, because you can watch if somebody is how they're sitting in the chair. Are they crossing their legs? Are they leaning in? Are they leaning back? Or are they checking their phone? Right, things like that. So Zoom is good, and I like Zoom a lot. And Zoom has provided a lot of opportunity for us to connect with people. And we just got to be making sure that we're not just hiding behind some of these technology tools, and we have an opportunity to get face to face or voice to voice.
Okay, Katey, we've got about 5 more minutes, I think.
Perfect. All right. I just had this. This is all about the fortunes and the follow-up.
Excellent.
Which I think a lot of us have seen some of these statistics before. 45% of salespeople give up after one call, one follow-up. Remember, it's our job to remind them, not their job to remember. Okay. And that was it. So if anybody is interested in learning more about success leadership coaching with me, this is a QR code. My website is coachkatey.com, and that is my phone number. Feel free to, and my email address is on, is actually just my first name, Katey, Katey, at coachkatey.com. You can find my email on my website as well.
Katey, this has been wonderful. One thing I would ask is, could you go back to that last slide that you had those failure rates? Right there. Do you think that the success rate is higher for more cold calls, or is the success rate higher for more follow-ups?
I mean, how do you define a cold call?
I'll say as the first dial, right? So let's say that the question is, do I want to go and do an outgoing call to 100 new people, or do I want to try 25 people and try them 4 times?
Oh, okay. I think it's good to have a combination, because you want to have a combination of new people and follow up, because sometimes what happens is when you're following up and you're not getting a call back, it gets discouraging. I would say to do a little bit of the half and half. So start with some of the cold people, or if you're following up on an internet lead, that somebody's like, oh, thank you so much for calling. And you get energized because you're excited because somebody has said they're interested in your product or service. And so I think it's good to have the combination. If you're following it because somebody had an interest, I mean, I said there's a difference between calling your database, calling your CRM once a quarter and just checking in, and following up because somebody had an interest and you're just, I said, that line between persistence and pest. Hey, you said you were interested in our service. You needed to start May 1st or mid-March. We need a little bit of ramp up time. I'm just, you're being responsive to their request. That's the follow-up, right? That's the initial contact, is typically around people who have raised their hand and said that they were interested. And and most people do that thing of like, oh, if they were interested, they'd call me back. No, they just got busy. Life just happened. Somebody may have gotten sick. We don't know. But keep checking in. I probably do 6 to 7. If somebody has said, yeah, we definitely want to do this. I followed up for over a year with people, and there's like, and I have somebody said, the reason I am signing up with you is because of your persistence.
Not your pestiness, your persistence. It changed over.
It is a fine line. They said, if you can teach our people how to be as persistent as you are, then we want to hire you. Okay.
So in a succinct closing, what are the 3 items you had said that we would have 3 items that we could take away from this that would help us make the phone ring?
Okay. 1, you have to dial the phone out. The fastest way to make the phone ring is to dial it out. Right. So pick your time on your calendar for 45 minutes to an hour that you're going to make outbound dials. Start with your hot leads, people that have raised their hand that said they're interested, warm leads that they're interested, but sometime in the future. And then just start calling either your business partnerships or your sphere of influence, the names in your phone. But make those calls for 45 minutes to an hour every single day. It's about how to make the phone ring. And then use technology for follow-up and these pieces as well. But actually just start reminding you that the follow-up piece is your responsibility. It is your job to remind them that your business is a value and of a need for them. It is not their job to remember. You got to stay on top of it. This is your business.
That was 2, I think.
I know, I'm going to say the 3rd one. I'm like, we talked about a lot of different things.
I would say maybe the 3rd one is don't give up so quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
Because yes. Well, the Superman stance, right? You're a superhero to somebody, right?
I love that. Yep.
Follow up. If you don't follow up, they won't follow through.
Last question. Now, let's say someone does reach out to you. How do you start to engage with them?
We do a half an hour call. That's a free coaching session. Basically finding out where they are, what's happening in your business, what are your goals you're looking for. I mean, some people said, hey, I haven't even written a business plan and it's about to begin the 2nd quarter. And some people have something detailed and just need some support and accountability. So I talked to them about, we do a free 30-minute coaching call. and happy to do that for anybody that's watching this session today.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate it. You've answered all the questions that we have. You've done a
Okay.
great job today.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time, and I know we have a lot of things that we can speak about internally for us, and I hope our audience also does the same thing. The video will be posted live, or posted recording, I guess, on our website, and we'll send out notification as well via email in a couple of days, as well as LinkedIn, where people can find it. Katey, as always, I appreciate your knowledge, and it was an energizing talk today.
Good. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate your trust. Thank you for those of you that are watching here live and those that are watching a recording. I appreciate you. Happy to help with anything. Feel free to reach out anytime.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I will stop.